my dad, Dan Healy, was a Navy SEAL for um, 15 years or 13 years in the SEALs, 15 years in the Navy. And he was killed in action June 28th of 2005 in Afghanistan during Operation Red Wings. He was in a helicopter in a rescue attempt or QRF, and his helicopter was shot down by an RPG as they were coming in to attempt the rescue.
Wow. So take me back to that day. What do you remember of that day? How old were you?
Yeah, so it's been so long. So I have it's like the vivid memories stay. Um, I remember my grandma's scream. That was the first thing. I was upstairs and I heard this like bloody murder scream, and I somehow made it down my stairwell in like two and a half leaps to go see what was wrong. And she just had a phone in her hand and she was like broken. And she looked up at me and she just said, "Your dad." And I was like, "Oh." And I let a nice cuss word out and I walked out of the room. Um, which I like wasn't allowed to cuss, or I didn't
Yeah.
want to have like a bad mouth, but I dropped a bomb and walked out and sat down and I just like stared forward, kind of numb. And my sister, she walked out. She was like, 2.5 seconds behind me, and she walked out and she looked at me and like my world just kind of broke. Like when you have to tell somebody else where it's going to hurt them, it's it was the hardest thing, and it for many many years it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Was And I didn't even tell her. I looked at her and she said what was wrong, and um I said don't worry. I said like the family's coming over soon, don't worry. And she, knowing something was wrong, went out actually into the backyard where I could see from where I was sitting, from where I was, and she started praying. She got down on her knees and she started praying. She was just looking away, like out. We had this open valley in our backyard, and she was looking into the open valley and praying. And I just watched her for like 15 minutes, and that was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure. And having to, not necessarily completely break the news, but having to see that, having like her know
that's right.
what's going on, and having to just to watch that
Yeah,
is hard enough. And then, actually knowing that it might be hard for a little while.
yeah. No, there are people out there who know that feeling of carrying a hard truth or some type of knowledge burden and having to keep it to themselves. They know how hard that can be. And like I said, it was one of the hardest things that I have had to do in my life.